You know, if you've been following tech news or the stock market at all lately, there's one name you just can't escape: NVIDIA. I mean, they're everywhere. They are smack dab in the middle of this whole AI revolution. But with this just astronomical rise they've had, the big question on everyone's mind is, well, is NVIDIA this unshakable titan of the future, or are we just watching a massive bubble inflate right in front of us? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, just look at that number. $2.2 trillion. Let that sink in. To put that into perspective for you, that's bigger than the entire economy of countries like Canada or Brazil. It's just a wild number. It almost doesn't feel real. And this is at the heart of all the excitement and all the anxiety around the company. So, how on earth did one company get here?
So to get our heads around that massive number, we've got to go back and see how NVIDIA managed to become the undisputed king of AI. And trust me, this was no accident. It was a total masterclass in strategy and, well, perfect timing.
And I mean, the scale of their dominance is just staggering. We're not talking about a 50-50 split here, or even a three-way race. Nope. NVIDIA controls over 80% of the market for these special chips that power AI. See, their GPUs, their graphics cards, they were originally made for video games. They had to do thousands of simple calculations all at once. That's called parallel processing. And it just so happens that's exactly what you need to train these huge AI models. So they aren't just leading the race. For a lot of people, they are the race.
Really, the best way to think about their whole business model is that classic gold rush analogy. You know the one. Back in the 1800s, the folks who got consistently rich weren't always the ones digging for gold. It was the people selling them, the picks, the shovels, the supplies. Well, AI is the new gold rush, and every single company out there, from the smallest startup to giants like Google and Microsoft, they all need the digital picks and shovels to have a shot. And right now, those are NVIDIA's chips.
So when you have that kind of control over the market, you can probably guess what their financials look like. But I'm telling you, the reality is even crazier than you might think. Let's get into the numbers and see what this actually means for their bottom line. Okay, get this. Last year, the company brought in over $60 billion in revenue. That's more than double what they did the year before. This isn't just growth, you guys. This is hyper-growth. It's the kind of thing you just don't see from a company this big. But revenue is only half the story. Because the really crucial part is what's left over. We're talking nearly $30 billion in pure profit. Think about that. For every single dollar in sales, about 50 cents of it went straight into their pocket. That kind of profitability is, well, it's almost unheard of. It just shows you how incredibly valuable their stuff is right now. But look, this incredible success isn't just about making powerful hardware. It's also built on something that's way harder for their competitors to copy. And that's this powerful ecosystem they've built through some really smart partnerships.
So NVIDIA's real secret weapon is their software platform, called CUDA. Developers have been using it for more than a decade now. So if you're a developer and you want to switch to a competitor's chip, you'd have to rewrite years and years of code. It's a huge pain. Nobody wants to do that. On top of that, they've partnered up with all the big cloud players, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and all the major AI companies. They've basically made sure their hardware is the default choice. It's this powerful cycle that just keeps feeding itself.
But this is where the story takes a turn, because you just can't have a rise this fast, this steep, without people starting to get nervous. And this incredible success story is now being shadowed by one very, very big question.
And that brings us right to the other side of the coin, the bubble argument. Are investors seeing the future clearly, or are they just caught up in a wave of hype that's completely disconnected from reality?
Okay, so before we go any farther, let's just make sure we're on the same page. A market bubble. That's when the price of something, whether it's a stock or real estate or even tulips back in the day, just skyrockets way beyond what it's fundamentally worth. It's all driven by hype and the belief that prices will just keep going up forever. The key phrase there is fundamentally worth.
So is that what's happening right now? Is all this excitement around AI pushing valuations, especially NVIDIA's, into that dangerous bubble territory? The debate is, let me tell you, absolutely fierce.
Okay, so the people who think this is a bubble, that's the bear case. They point to a few big red flags. First off, the insane volatility. I mean, the stock price can swing 5 or even 10% in a single day. That's a classic sign of speculative hype. Then there's something called concentration risk. A huge chunk of their sales comes from just a few big tech companies. So what happens if one of them, say Microsoft or Meta, decides to cut back on spending? It would have a massive impact. And finally, you have to remember, the competition is not just sitting around. The entire tech industry is laser-focused on finding a way to break NVIDIA's stranglehold.
And this really lays out the battlefield perfectly, right? On one side, you've got NVIDIA with its huge head start and that software moat we talked about. But on the other side, you've got rivals like AMD coming in hot. And even NVIDIA's own customers, like Google, are now building their own custom chips. Everybody is pouring billions of dollars into creating alternatives. They're all attacking NVIDIA from different angles, just hoping to find a crack in the armor.
So, in the end, we're left with this huge question. Is NVIDIA the foundational engine of a tech revolution that's going to reshape our entire world for decades? Or is it just this spectacular, shining symbol of a bubble that's doomed to pop? You know, only time will tell. But for right now, the debate is absolutely raging.